welcome to Monday Q&A. Monday Q&A, this will be the last one, as I mentioned last night in my schedule announcement. Temporarily ending it at number 10 until after the World Cup because there's just so much material to cover. I'll just jump right in. Footy Lad NBAC, why do Americans call the sport soccer when most of the world calls it football? Well, an interesting story about that is the word soccer has British origins. When Brits came over to the United States and introduced the sport here, so as to avoid confusion with American football, they took the phrase of, the full name of international football, which is association football, and they took the SOC out of the word association and added ER to the end of it, ER being the act of doing something, and it became soccer. And it just stuck. I learned that actually on a Vsauce video a couple of years ago. So credit to Michael of Vsauce. And to my knowledge, I think the USA, Canada, South Africa, maybe one or two other countries in Africa, if I'm not mistaken, and Australia all call it soccer. Australia, I think they call it both soccer and football. But the national team name is the Socceroos, for goodness sake. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a historical fact about soccer. Peru al Mundial, Roblox. What do you think are Peru's chances of possibly getting to the third place match? Well, slim, but I think far nuttier things have happened in World Cups. I believe every World Cup since the early 90s, you've had at least one unseeded team get to the semifinals. So, it does happen. The group for Peru is very navigable. I think that, Paulo Guerrero's absence is not going to hurt them as much as people think it will. And they get out of the group. They have a round of 16 clash against Nigeria, Croatia, Iceland. That's winnable. It's conceivable that they can get through, and that's the quarterfinals. And then you have to think, based on the way the bracket is set up, the quarterfinals would be against like Spain or Portugal or Uruguay. Spain would be a really hard opponent for Peru, but, Portugal or Uruguay, I would not favor Peru. I would not favor them in that scenario, but it's not totally outside the realm of possibility. And then right there, that's semifinals. So I think they would have to have a lot of things go their way, both on and off the pitch, for that to happen. But, it would not be mind-blowing if they actually did get that far. Sarush Haeri, why do you think Iran hasn't been able to win the Asian Cup in over 30 years? Well, to be honest, Sarush, I don't think it's that quite radical. Because if you think about it, the Asian Cup is held every 4 years. Compared to other regional tournaments like the CONCACAF Gold Cup and the African Cup of Nations, which are held every 2 years, Asian teams receive 50% less of an opportunity to win the tournament. And, you have to consider, if you don't win one Asian Cup, well, then it's going to be at least 8 years before you win another one. So you consider that if you don't win one, it's going to be 8 years before you win another one. 30 years doesn't sound so extreme. On the same token, South Korea, who are considered one of the giants of Asian football traditionally and historically, they haven't won the Asian Cup in over 50 years. So, there you have it. If it's any consolation, Sarush, and that you're really, upset about it, if it's any consolation, I think you're going to win next year. You're going to win the title. Alvaro Marmol, will Uruguay ever win the World Cup again? Well, I'll just say this as a little snippet, sneak preview of my team profile videos. Uruguay is the team heading into this tournament that's giving me the most pause. Because I think think they can do something special. Really special. However you want to interpret that is up to you, but I think they can go very far in this tournament. Let's see. Skeleton Champion, you are truly an inspiration to me. Thank you. That means a lot. It really does mean a lot to get positive feedback from you guys and the input that you give me. So if you guys like what I do and you let me know that, that's awesome. I mean, there's no better feeling in the world. So I appreciate that, Skeleton Champion. My question is, who do you think will score most own goals? And will Joachim Loew pick his nose during the match? Damn. Who will score the most own goals? That's hard. Because own goals, you would think they require a considerable amount of bad luck and misfortune, not necessarily a skill. Unless maybe there is a skill involved in own goals. In which case, I'm not sure any player or team would want that skill. But maybe a lesser team that is not very compact at the back, don't really have a lot of quality. I mean, we saw in the Confederations Cup, New Zealand were the only team to score an own goal. They made a few rookie mistakes in their group stage games. So maybe in this World Cup, you're looking at a team maybe like Panama or maybe a Japan. I hope not Egypt, please God. One of the worst, the lesser teams in the tournament maybe would be more susceptible to scoring in the back of their own net. And for your second question, will Joachim Loew pick his own nose? You know what? He might. He's done it quite a bit in his time with Germany. He might pick his own nose. He might even eat it. Who knows? There was one GIF actually a few years ago where he had his hand down his crotch, and then he brought his fingers up to his face and he was smelling them. And he was standing on the sidelines, and he walked back to the bench and he sat down and he started eating some substance, some material between his fingers. And it got so much attention that he actually issued a public apology for it because it grossed so many people out. That was funny. That was really funny. So he might do it. But you know what? He's won a World Cup with Germany, so I don't think they give a damn. Let's see. Dipanjan Dutta Roy. Do you think if New Zealand joins AFC, it will be beneficial for them? Well, the answer to your question is short-term no, long-term yes. Short-term no, because if New Zealand joins AFC, their chances of qualifying for a World Cup will be drastically reduced. Now, in Oceania, the only real stiff competition they have is when they get to the international playoff, where they play against a confederation that's drawn at random a full 3 years before the World Cup begins. This time around, they got really unlucky when they drew the South American Confederation, and we all know they went on to lose to Peru. 2010, they got lucky. They faced the fifth-place team from Asia, which was Bahrain. 4 years ago, a little bit unlucky, outmatched at least, CONCACAF team, Mexico. So, short-term, New Zealand has a better chance of getting to the World Cup from the Oceania region, provided that the random confederation they draw in the playoff is not an insurmountable task. Long-term, it is beneficial if they go to the AFC because they will be playing at that higher level against stiffer competition from the Asian region, which over time would help New Zealand to get better. So it all becomes a question of what are New Zealand's priorities? Do they want to get back to the World Cup as soon as possible, or do they want to become a larger threat on the international stage in the distant future? That's a tough question for them to answer, I'm sure. But I think that's the choice they have. Let's see. Foot score. What side of your family is Egyptian, and what part were they from? My father's side. My father's from Ismailia, which is near Port Suez. Um, let's see. Dennis Hammett. Not trying to be offensive, just curious. Do you have a job? Yeah, I work in construction with my uncle. It's not my field though. It's just like something I do on the side to make some money. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Carlos Rivero. What major did you study while in college? I studied criminology, crime statistics, and I minored in forensic science. Adam, soccer fan and GTA fan. Football Pharaoh, I really enjoy your videos. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me, actually, because if I didn't have subscribers and supporters, I wouldn't be able to gain traction. How you doing, kid? Can you make an Instagram account? Yeah, I'll consider it. Yeah, maybe. E. Bradley, would there be a change of World Cup winners if every player played for their nation of birth? Example, if Diego Costa played for Brazil. This was a conversation I had with Dominic Rich a couple of years ago. Oh, years ago. a couple of weeks ago. He brought up an interesting point. He said that a team that it would negatively affect, like really negatively affect, would be France. Because if you had a rule where players could not play not only for countries that they're not born in, but that their parents were born somewhere else, then France would adversely be affected by it. Because you have a lot of players whose parents are of West African, North African origin. So, how you doing, kid? Do you think if Russia was part of AFC, they would qualify easily for World Cup? So this is similar to the New Zealand question. In this case, yeah, I think it would be simpler for Russia to do so. It would be kind of odd, don't you think, if Russia joined the Asian Confederation, though, to be honest. I actually don't think it would even be a guarantee that they qualify, because Japan, South Korea, and Australia, they're not exactly, easy venues to play in, even in Tehran and the Azadi Stadium. So I don't think Russia would necessarily have it that much easy. Well, they would have it easier, but I don't think it would be easy at all. Bob Mama, what did you think of the Germany-Algeria match in World Cup 2014? Arguably, arguably, that was Germany's toughest match in the World Cup. If not that, then maybe the Ghana match, where they probably should have lost the Ghana match. But Algeria pushed Germany to the brink, taking them to extra time, getting that goal late on. For large stretches of the first 90 minutes, Algeria were the better side. They were the most proactive attacking team. They were going full stop against the Germans, and Germany could have went out. They could have went out at that stage, but then we know eventually they went on to win the tournament. But Germany really struggled in the last World Cup against African nations, with Ghana and Algeria. Fish Rhino. And Argentina is a type of water bottle. Yeah. Like Aquafina, right? The name brand, the water. Argentina Aquafina. That's a good one. That's really good. I like that. Maybe that's going to be another nickname. The Aquafina Water Boys, whatever. Might as well be Water Boys, except for Messi. Sammy Kiani, do you expect a World Cup with lots of surprises, or will the favorites dominate? Well, I think there will be less surprises than in an average World Cup because usually your World Cups held on European soil tend to be dominated by European and South American teams, with the emphasis on European. Or will the favorites dominate? I don't think we're going to see a new winner. I think it's going to be one of the 8 countries that have already won the World Cup. Specifically, the most successful country, I think, is going to win again. Lots of surprises? I don't think so. I think there will be a few, but I don't think there's going to be. We're not going to see a 2002 type of tournament. I don't think so. Also, Sami Kiani, would you consider it a disaster for AFC if they fail to send a single team to the knockout stage for a second time in a row? Yeah, that'd be pretty bad. Because even though AFC are among the weaker confederations, I think they're better than Oceania, and on their best day, they're probably about level with CONCACAF. But the problem with them sending 0 teams again for the second World Cup in a row, it's not a good look because I think this would be the first time that that's ever happened since I think 1994, and every World Cup since in the last 20 years, even when AFC doesn't have a good tournament, like they haven't had, they did not have in 1998, in 06 and 14. So you see, it's an every other cycle kind of thing for AFC. They sent a couple teams in 2002. They sent a couple teams again in 2010. So for the second World Cup in a row, this would basically be reverting back to their pattern from pre-1994, which it would not be good. Not good. It's not, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we do get at least one in the round of 16. I really do. C4 goes boom. I've been pondering this for the last day. What are the contributing factors for Libya to never do well in World Cup qualifying? Well, the current conditions of the country don't help them. After the whole regime that was overthrown, it's sort of thrown Libyan football into a dark period. It happened, with Egypt actually soon after the 2011 revolution, where Egypt did not qualify for the African Cup of Nations 3 times in a row after winning it 3 times in a row. And, Egyptian football was in a dark era for about that 5-year period after, Hosni Mubarak was overthrown. Because the thing is this, politics and the conditions of a country, the weird relationship that has with the country is it does one of 2 things. It either sets back the Football Federation, or it actually, for some reason, prompts more resources to go into the Federation, and teams actually do better. And the teams play off of that inspiration from a country being in turmoil. So, for example, positive examples, Iraq in 2007, Asian champions. Syria, this time around, damn near almost getting to the World Cup. They lost to Australia 3-2 in the playoff. If they had gotten through that, they would have played Honduras, and I think they would have beaten Honduras. So it's really hard because regime change, political turmoil, for some reason, it seems to either have one of the 2 extremes. It seems to either help a team or it hurts a team. I think in Libya's case, it's hurt them. Now, even before 2011, they never got to a World Cup. That's right, as you rightfully observed. Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, they've all been to World Cups. Interesting story about Libya is they almost got to the World Cup, I believe, in 1982 or 86, and they barely missed out on the final match day to Morocco, I believe it was. Moreover, though, the current Libyan national team is not a bad side. They do get results here and there in the African continent. They did get a impressive away draw with Tunisia on the final match day of 2018 World Cup qualifying. So for Libya, I think what they need is they need a manager that can piece it together. I think it's equal parts managerial as it is a team issue. If you look at Morocco, Hervé Renard, highly esteemed on the continent. Vahid Halilhodzic, what he did with Algeria in the 2014 World Cup was unexpected. Even though I don't rate Hector Cooper very highly for Egypt, I still have to give him credit for getting this Egypt team back to the World Cup, playing, I guess, proactive but smart defensive football, and it really helps when you have a player like Mohamed Salah on your squad, a world-class player. But for Libya, I just think that the whole entire federation there, they need an overhaul. They have the players. And it's like an Iraq situation. Iraq, at the youth level, Iraq is very damn decent. Got to the semifinals in the Under-20 World Cup in 2015. They perform exceptionally well in most youth tournaments. But then when it comes to World Cup qualifying from Asia, Iraq, they finish at or near the bottom of their group in the final round of qualifying. So they can't translate success at the youth level as well as success at the Asian Cup level because Iraq is very much a tournament team. They can't translate that into World Cup success. Now, for Libya, it's a matter of both. They're struggling in both. And I think that, the whole federation, the leadership, and... Okay, sorry, I had to change rooms because someone was coming upstairs. So yeah, for Libya, the problem is twofold. Just think that... next question. Jose Hernandez, could France get eliminated in group stage, and could Germany not make it to the semis? Anything's possible in the World Cup. Saihati79 Roblox, do you think this World Cup will be boring or exciting? It's going to be more exciting than people think it is. The impression that people get is that European World Cups are not as exciting as non-European. To some extent, I think that's proven to be true, but it's going to be a good tournament, I think. Saihati79 Roblox again, is Russia's home advantage overrated? Well, for both of our sake, your sake and my sake, I hope so. I don't think it will be overrated, though. Tanner Wilson, if the United 2026 World Cup bid wins, which U.S. city should host the championship game? New York City, man. New York City should host it. Because the Rose Bowl, I think it was in Pasadena or L.A., California, hosted 94. So bring the final to the East Coast. Bring it to New York City. Zola, what do you think is better, Copa America or the Euros? I love international tournaments. That's hard to pick. Which one do I think is better? I like Copa America a lot. I really like Copa America. Antonio Russo has a trivia question for me. Can you name the 6 countries